Greetings everyone, my name is KG Prestige and welcome to another video here on this channel. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be doing something a little bit different today here, as we're going to be having an ongoing discussion on one of the latest games that is going to be dropping out later this year, that being of Sonic X Shadow Generations. And this is a bit of a shock when it first got revealed at the Sony State of Play event, so I only felt that it was appropriate to get another Sonic buddy in here for this conversation so we can discuss all the things that we know thus far about this particular game, and of course speculate as to what in the god hell they're doing with this side story. So I brought with me my good friend over here, the Media Nut. Say hello, good friend.
Hello, I'm Shadow the Hedgehog, and I'm here. Oh wait, wrong recording. Hi everybody, how you doing? My name is the Media Nut. Happy to be on board. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Oh man, I am excited too, bro. First of all, thank you for coming on through for this recording. Really do appreciate it, and always enjoy having some company around to go and talk about all things Sonic related. And it's not even just a simple Sonic thing, because we got a whole year of Sonic content. But for this particular video, we're going to specifically keep ties to Sonic X Shadow Generations, while also acknowledging the fact that there is a lot of good Sonic content coming out later this year, such as the TV series Knuckles, which will be, I believe, premiering on Paramount Plus. So if you guys have that, great. You're going to be able to watch, I think, 6 episodes of that. And then, of course, the big thing, and obviously probably the reason as to why this title exists in the first place, Sonic 3, the movie, is finally about to drop later this year. And of course, Shadow the Hedgehog is going to have a key role in that said film. So it only felt appropriate that the game that they want to drop this year had to be something with both Sonic and Shadow, and thus here we are with this title. And yeah, let's go and jump right into it. I guess the first thing we should probably talk about is simply our first reaction to this information, because of the mere fact that it's a port of Sonic Generations, which was a celebration of Sonic's 20th anniversary, correct?
Yes, very much so. Which is a really big surprise, because we're in a very interesting era when it comes to gaming, especially as Sonic fans, where a lot of gamers in general, I feel, are very and just actually not even gamers, just fans of pop culture in general. We're in this weird era where so many people are kind of tired of people rehashing and rebooting a lot of projects. But when it comes to Sonic, it's interesting because that's kind of what everyone's been wanting for a very long time. So to see them doing this with Sonic Generations, it's kind of like it's such a weird middle area where everyone's been hoping for like re-releases and ports of Sonic games for such a long time, but Sega hasn't done it. So for them to do this with Sonic Generations, but not just making it a port, but adding an entire new story section to it, that's, if anything, that's more than what a lot of Sonic fans were kind of hoping for. Because I feel like a lot of people were just excited for a Sonic port of anything, Generations being one of the more popular hopes.
Yeah, and especially mainly because of the fact that I think a lot of people, when they heard about this particular title, now just to clarify what I mean by that is that initially this did get somewhat leaked by a tweet that kind of gave off a bit of information as to what was going to be presented in this Sony State of Play, and Shadow and Sonic were mentioned in this particular tweet. So a lot of us were expecting that there would be something Shadow related, but for many people, because of how much we've been disappointed with certain re-releases of past Sonic games, a lot of us were just simply expecting a Shadow skin to be played on, or to be put on top of Sonic, and that would just be the new content on this Sonic Generations port, you know?
Exactly.
So here we are, and we're... First of all, can I just say, I'm a little mad that did get leaked, because the way they handled that trailer, the first half of that trailer was straight up just nothing but Sonic Generations content, and they even recreated the iconic reveal of Sonic and Classic Sonic when they were bouncing upwards into the sky in the void.
Yeah.
Until, of course, Sonic and Shadow out there doing the Sonic Adventure 2 pose right then and there, and Classic Sonic being like, huh? What am I here for? So, like, I really did appreciate a lot of what they did, and the reveal of, like, no, it's not just gonna be a simple port of Generations. We're going to add in new things, and not just any new things, but also bringing back some familiar faces that we haven't seen in a hot minute. And that right there is going to be
Ooh.
the exciting part to talk about, because holy shit, never in my wildest dreams did I think Black Doom, of all characters, from one of the most well known
Let's say
franchises.
controversial Sonic games.
Yeah, you know what? That
Right.
might be better. Yeah, one of the more
That's a good
controversial.
word for it.
Yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog, that particular game. Hell, even in the pose when Shadow was looking back at classic Sonic and Sonic, he was doing that one pose from that game, except of course minus the gun in hand, of course. But you
Of
know,
course,
like
man.
it, like the nods, they're accepting, they're embracing this controversial title and expanding upon it with Shadow. And that to me, I think, is one of the most important things to bring up in this discussion, because they're starting to embrace what they've done and pushing it now to further give growth to these characters. Because this is such a key moment for Shadow's history, his story, his narrative. And we haven't had a taste of that in almost a decade and some change, I feel. You
Very
know,
much so, and exactly what you said, Kevin. Where when it comes to the realm of Sonic, we've had this interesting situation where Sega was so scared to really acknowledge their history for the longest time. And how funny is it that now, in the arguably the perfect game to kind of revisit a lot of that history in Sonic Generations, which is it is the big anniversary game all about revisiting Sonic's history. Like I remember back in the day when Generations first came out, and people were just shocked to see that they mentioned like '06 in this thing
Crisis City?
with Crisis City level being added. So the fact that they're kind of like digging deeper into it by adding in elements from Shadow the Hedgehog into this, it's so interesting. Along with the fact that like not only it's not, from what I understand from the synopsis that we get, like this isn't even just like a rehash or anything like that. This seems to be some form of like a continuation of a sorts when it comes to like the I don't know about the origins of the Black Arms, but at least continuing to explore a little bit about what the Black Arms is, which for anyone here who has followed at least the Sonic comics, specifically back in the Archie days, like we know that Ian Flynn, the master of Sonic storytelling, that is Ian Flynn. He has always been someone who has been interested in kind of revisiting some of Sonic's more controversial stories, which we saw examples in the works that he's done in, like, obviously we have Frontiers, but in the comics, I remember post the reboot era for the Archie comics, there was this one storyline that explored more of the Black Arms like history. So this could be like Ian's way of saying like, hey, like this is still a rich story that I want to explore, that we could dive into for Shadow as a character. So it's kind of like, as an Archie fan, personally for me, this is kind of like a fun way of keeping that storytelling element alive, even though the whole Archie universe is gone. and I really love what I'm getting to see here. I'm hoping that we get to see more development for not just Shadow, but the Black Arms, just as a species.
Yeah, and especially if you've ever like listened to any of his past podcasts, or even just look at the tweets by Ian Flynn, he really does have an idea as to what he wants to do. And given that they gave him the opportunity to not only write the stories of Frontiers, but now to write or at least from rumors, from what it seems, write the story of Shadows. Uh,
I
how
believe
far
so.
like the real question is, how far are they going to take that? How far are they actually going to let Ian Flynn take this concept? Because once again, this is not from what you would call one of Sonic's best moments. This is from one of the most controversial games out there. So how deep are they going to go with this? And is it going to go even further than just Shadow the Hedgehog? Are they actually going to address one of the biggest things that I think a lot of people are also kind of questioning as well, in regards to other villains and other bosses that Shadow will have to face within his side of the story? And of course, we still don't know the
Well,
length and all that, but it's just
of
interesting to
course,
think
yeah.
about. You know.
Yeah, well, we already have the idea that we're going to be fighting Black Doom and Lizard, which are two characters that are really important to the history of Shadow. And as you stated before, yeah, like Shadow the Hedgehog being such a controversial project within the Sonic mythos. Um, Personally, for me, if I have to be honest, I kind of appreciate the bravery that Ian and the rest of his team seem to be going for when it comes to, hey, we know we have a checkered past, but truth of the matter is, and I kind of want to see this in other franchises as well, where it's like, okay, we get it, something that we did wasn't great, but that doesn't mean that we can't make it interesting. Where it's like, okay, the initial response for Shadow the Hedgehog as a game, probably not that great, especially in a gameplay standpoint. But one thing that I've always really appreciated when it comes to just Sonic as a whole is that no matter what they do, they always try their best to incorporate some form of lore, some kind of world building. And I feel like the Black Arms are just part of that. And it's like, hey, we know some of this is messy. Hey, we know some of this is controversial. But I appreciate their willingness to go for it, to just be like, we're going to do it anyways because this is a story that we want to tell. And the truth of the matter is, I prefer this than a lot of their more safe options that they've been doing in recent years for Sonic, because like people have been asking forever now. Like I feel like we've gone past the whole, like, okay, the complaints of '06 where people are complaining about, oh, Sonic has too many friends, or too many crazy situations are happening, and this is like a blue hedgehog who runs fast and eats chili dogs. And it's like, no, I feel like finally we're entering this era where, yes, everyone who's a fan of Sonic knows that this world is crazy and insane. And now, at least with Ian, I can't say enough. I can't really say with Sega themselves, but at least with Ian and his team, they have that understanding, and they understand that realistically, that's what the fans love about Sonic is. Because again, remember that originally what Sonic is supposed to be kind of this answer to Mario, where Mario's all about gameplay and just like simple story. So then Sonic is like, let's take that up to like 11 and like make crazy lore, have this character fight gods, have this character save the world on a daily basis, and like bring all this level of lore and storytelling that you wouldn't expect for a competitor of Mario of all things. And I think that's one thing that I think they're finally beginning to understand of. That's what we love about Sonic. We don't want another Mario. We want what Sonic has been giving us forever, and that is insane storytelling, fun levels, fast action, but also like fun character moments, actual relationships, which moving forward with the Shadow Generation part, I'm hoping that's one thing that I'm really hoping to see is like continuation of Shadow as a character, not just hey, Shadow is really cool to play as because he's popular. I'm hoping we really get to see an evolution of him as a character moving forward from this. What do you
Yeah.
think?
No, see, that's the thing I loved about Sonic Frontiers, since we're going to be jumping about narratives. Like,
Hmm.
that's my biggest praise about Frontiers. The way they wrote these characters, the development that all these characters had, and the setup that they gave for them by the end of that game. Spoiler if you haven't completed Frontiers, to those who are watching, but just a heads up. In the end, Sonic and friends all acknowledge that they have moments where they depend on Sonic, and they want to start learning how to become more of their own individual selves. Like how Tails, he acknowledged his history with like the events of Sonic Forces, as an example, which was one of the key pivotal moments that a lot of people were mad about when it came to Tails' development in that title. And Amy going to do her thing with Sticks, and Knuckles finally trying to be a little bit more on the free side. And so that's one of my favorite aspects, is that people, or at least the people in this world, are now starting to slowly move out from just being tied to Sonic and just grow to be their own independent selves. And we get to see that growth within Frontiers, and by the end, it makes me excited to know, okay, we're setting up these characters for something big. What is the next title going to do then, if this is what we're setting up here with Frontiers? But now we don't have to think about that for a good while, because instead of focusing on what's going to be coming for Sonic and Gang, we're now focusing on the other characters who weren't acknowledged in Frontiers. This one being for Shadow the Hedgehog, who may also just as well get such a huge development in this, because there is a lot of things that are attached to Shadow that haven't been addressed in a very long time. Shadow is tied to Gun, Gun. He's tied to the history of Black Doom. He's tied to the whole species and whatnot. Like, there is so many things that Shadow is attached to when it comes to his side of his story, to make you kind of wonder, how far are we going to go with this? Is Maria going to be involved in all of this as well? Is there going to be...
Are we going to see a little girl get shot in the face again?
No, this time on the big screen too? Jesus Christ,
Oh,
that. Yeah, but like that's what I mean. Like, there's just so much excitement when it comes to this, because it's a breath of fresh air. We're finally starting to slowly move away from only just gameplay. That was one of the things that a lot of the Sonic games these days were just mainly about, the gameplay. But ever since, I want to say, Frontiers and moving forward, we've finally been starting to slowly branch out of only just it being the gameplay, and now starting to see the character growth being portrayed in these titles. We saw it with Frontiers. We saw it with these characters. Hell, even Eggman got such a huge moment by the end of the game.
Yeah,
something nobody would expect to see. And that's such a big change that makes you question what Eggman's future is even going to be like for future Sonic titles.
Yeah, because now we have something when it comes to Eggman to be sympathetic for. Like, it's no longer just, Eggman's a fun character because he's a villain, but he's also really funny. But he could also be like intimidating, because that's one thing that I feel like a lot of people really appreciate about Eggman as a character, is that he is a perfect combination of comedy and threatening.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, now we have something to care for him about with his relationship to Sage. Like,
exactly.
He has a daughter. Like, he has family now, genuine family, and it really does make you, as you just said, it really makes you kind of wonder, what can we expect from him? Because I'm definitely on the bandwagon of, like, I still see him being a villain, but I also definitely see us returning to an era of, like, there's probably going to be situations where he's going to probably need Sonic's help because of something related to Sage, or something related to just like, hey, like now I'm not just thinking about the Eggman Empire, I'm thinking about my family.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like one of those "the enemy of my enemy is my friend" kind of situation, where it's like, listen, we got to
Exactly.
team up in all this
I
to
believe
make this
that.
happen. Like he has now priorities to think about, not just only for his creations, and that in and of itself is going to be such a key thing for Eggman's future in storytelling. But
Yeah.
you see what I mean right there? Like just to quickly go back to Eggman's whole thing in Frontiers, I'm just gonna say this real quick.
Of course.
The original ending for Frontiers did make me weep. When it came to that scene of
I
Eggman.
cried.
No, no, no.
I
See,
cried.
I weeped a bit in the original. I cried my eyes out on the Horizons update
The
version.
DLC.
Dude, the
Oh
DLC.
yeah.
Oh, it's
No,
so
no,
good.
no, Kevin. I'll like two words, and you tell me whether or not I want your complete honesty. Did this hit you? 2 words, dear father.
Yes, yes, yeah. That was gut wrenching. And then the song played in the background. Oh my god,
It hits.
it
It
hits.
hits.
But see, like I've never had this opportunity to gush about Sonic's development before for the past decade.
This opportunity to gush about Eggman.
Yeah.
Eggman people like Father I, and I'm like, no, my heart.
No, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this is the writing that they did in Frontiers, and if they're really gonna keep that that level of attention towards Shadow side of the story, and we're seeing that we're acknowledging the controversial aspects of it, this is exciting on the storytelling alone, because this is going to be the shift that I think Sonic in his universe needs more than ever. We're starting to see an expansion on the lore. We've been dry from lore content for such a huge period of time that it is just wonderful that we can finally move out of that phase of just one. It essentially just felt very safe, as you mentioned before, but now we're getting out of that. We're finally becoming more branched out there with content, with side stories and all, and I'm just excited to see where all of this will lead to. But of course, we gotta just make sure that whatever is delivered in Sonic X Shadow Generations will be something we can look forward to within the next main title for Sonic, as a whole. Which, by the way, I also do want to get into that too, because I have to give a big praise to Sonic Team in general, as they're also starting to expand more with these characters too. Like Cream the Rabbit and Rouge the Bat are now also becoming more developed in their stories, thanks to Sonic Dream Team, So
thank goodness.
yes.
Oh my gosh.
So we're clearly seeing that there is movement happening, that things are going by, and so that's why I'm saying the real player of this whole team right now that I'm excited for the most out of everyone is Shadow. This is going to be such a big deal for him. And it's going to be but it's also because of this that it's going to be a make or break situation. They have to nail this one, in my opinion. They can't fumble.
This is the second most popular character in all of Sonic franchise, aside from Sonic himself. And they know it. They need to play this correctly. Because, the thing is that, because we've seen in history that it's not enough just to give us the ability to play a Shadow, because look at what happened in Sonic Forces with that DLC. It's like, oh, look, you also get to play a Shadow, but only for 3 levels and barely enough story. And it so that it's kind of just like people were already very disappointed here. I feel like Sega and I feel like Sonic Team, what I'm hoping is that they understand that already, though, because it's like, hey, people did not like Sonic Forces. They did not like what we did with not just with Sonic, but with his friends and with Shadow. I feel like they understand that they really messed up around that with these beloved characters, and I'm hoping this is just this is their way of saying, hey, we didn't understand at the time, we understand now. This is what you guys wanted, we're gonna give it to you by putting the focus back on not just the gameplay, but also put the focus back on the characters and their development and the world that they're living in. Because especially once again going back to the synopsis of Sonic X Shadow Generations, like it looks like we're gonna be diving back into like Shadow kind of like having to in a way relive certain things of his history, which is understandable for a game like Sonic Generations, but also kind of like like we're finally gonna see after a long time what makes him the quote unquote ultimate life form, which we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, from what they're saying, it looks like they might be pulling a Sonic Frontiers DLC situation where, I mean, people call it Super Sonic 2, but it looks like we might be getting a situation where Shadow might be getting some new powers himself this time around.
He might actually get like an ultimate life form transformation for Shadow. Like it's like a super Shadow form, but it's now maybe one that doesn't require the energy of the Chaos Emeralds per se. Because remember, the Chaos Emeralds at this particular moment, if these two stories are supposed to be coinciding one after the other, they're currently in Sonic's story. Sonic is collecting them.
Right.
And Shadow, on the other hand, is on his own separate entity in his timeline, working on his world. So the Chaos Emeralds may not even be a part of that story. So how is he going to get his power-ups through there, It's going to be interesting.
It could be a situation... I have a theory. I think would be cool. Although, I mean... Okay, I'm one of those fans who admittedly tries to stay away from connecting Sonic to Dragon Ball. But at the same time, I hate to admit it, how cool would it be if, like, okay, we have Super Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. We have Super Sonic. Like, and we still got Super Sonic. How cool would it be, because he's the ultimate life form, if somehow we get some sort of transformation, hear me out here, and we call it Ultimate Shadow?
I would love that. I think it would be great.
Honestly.
I think, you know what I think is going to happen personally? Because once again, Shadow is tied to Black Doom, correct? So yes. I think there might be something where he might embrace the powers that he's been given by Black Doom and use that as his ultimate form. Because the ultimate form has to come from somewhere. And we know that possibly the Chaos Emeralds will not play a pivotal role on this aspect here. Because they're with Sonic. If we're to base it off that Sonic only has those set of emeralds and there's like no multiverse of different emeralds out there, if we're to base it off.
Right.
So I'm just going to assume, because the way they handled it in the story of in Shadow the Hedgehog, he was able to finally break free of getting frozen there because he finally learned who he was, and then he turned into Super Shadow to fight against the final boss. I would love it if now, because this story is focusing on Black Doom once again, and as you mentioned before, and from what I'm reading here in the synopsis, it says here, when Shadow's old nemesis Black Doom reemerges and threatens to take over the world, Shadow must journey into his own past, confront painful memories, face familiar foes, and unlock new powers to save the world and prove why he's known as the ultimate life form. Yeah, I think that his powers are going to come through acceptance in this story. He's going to have to accept everything that he did let go after the events of Shadow the Hedgehog. And this is where his main power is going to come through.
You want to know, actually, and I'm surprised no one else is bringing this up. You want to know this game is called Sonic X Shadow Generations, but you want to know what part of me is beginning to realize what this could possibly be if we were to give it another title? I think this is going to finally be time. Let me know if you disagree. I think it's finally time. This is Shadow Therapy. I think it's time. This is going to be the story. Or at least I'm hoping, based off of what they're saying, I'm hoping this is going to be Shadow's big finale, in a sense, when it comes to finally, and I mean finally, like, truly letting go of his past and moving forward, as in, like, hey, I now have my own lease on life, which we got at the end of Shadow the Hedgehog, and we saw a continuation of that in Sonic 06. But here's the big problem, is because Sonic 06 was erased from the timeline, we kind of got this weird situation where Shadow just kind of went back to being just Shadow, just being very, very edgy, not really wanting to play nice with others. But if you saw Shadow's personality in Sonic 06, Shadow was a lot more like a team player. He was much more willing. Like, he still had his things with Sonic being competitive and all that, but it was in a more friendly tone.
Yeah, like they knew when the situation got dire, they couldn't just always joke around. Like, they knew, okay, we got to get up and start kicking.
Exactly. Stuff. And what I'm hoping is this is the beginning of okay, Shadow really coming to terms with, hey, I've said it before that my past doesn't define me. This is my opportunity to show everyone that is the truth.
Yeah.
I think it works so well when it comes to him having to meet up with Black Doom and BioLizard, and I'm a spitball. I'm a spitball one more. If the theory is correct about what the Time Eater really is.
Oh my god, I know what you're gonna get into with that one.
All I'm gonna say is, surprise secret boss of Shadow versus Mephiles. Let's freaking go.
Oh my god. No, I would lose my collective shit with that one, because that really will be the moment when you're like, yeah, okay, so they're really going all the way. Like, they're gonna embrace everything, but that also is going to be kind of confusing because of the fact that Sonic 06 also did get erased from everything. So Shadow may not remember any of that.
He may not, yeah.
But Mephiles may.
But you know what? I think this is why it's a good thing that you and I specifically are fans of the franchises that we are, because I want everyone who's listening to this to understand, Kevin and I are not just Sonic fans, we're Pokemon fans, and at least on my end, I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan. So what does that mean? When it comes to being a Pokemon fan, that means we're used to being disappointed on certain things and wanting them to build upon those things that disappoint us, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But number two, at least for myself, I don't know, Kevin, if you're I don't know if you're familiar with Kingdom Hearts or not, but in the realm of, but when it comes to be a Kingdom Hearts fan, we're used to characters not remembering other characters and being like, oh, you don't remember us, that's okay. We're just we're still gonna kick your butt anyway. So it's literally a situation of Shadow being like, who are you? And then Mephiles is like, oh, you don't remember me, but I'm going to destroy you. And it's like, okay, that's fine, just accept it.
Yeah, exactly. Shadow, see, this is also probably going to be playing into Shadow's mind, because once again, maybe deep down, Shadow has this as a part of his memory experiences, because Sonic does with Sonic 06.
Yeah.
So think about that. That means that they exist inside them, these memories, but they just may not remember them because it was technically erased. But maybe it wasn't entirely erased. Maybe these, they still experience them, but the story of the timeline itself does not,
It also could be the fact that it's keep in mind what makes Sonic and Shadow, and to a point, Silver is a funny thing because obviously he himself is a time traveler. Mm-hmm. But the thing that makes Sonic and Shadow so important is the fact that they are connected to, if you wanna use the comics as logic, they're connected to the Chaos Force. So if you want to use that as the quote unquote excuse of hey, why do Sonic and Shadow have bits of memories of the events of 06? That could be it. It's just their connections to the Chaos Emeralds, their connections to the Chaos Force, and just Sonic and Shadow time travel on a very regular basis anyways. So it's possible that the more they time travel, the less their memories might actually be affected by time manipulation to begin with. And
you know what's a perfect example for that you just mentioned with? The recently released Sonic Prime.
It all comes full circle.
Who are the two characters that fully remember
everything?
That remembers everything. That to me is saying, okay, there is, I don't know if Sonic Prime is actually going to be referenced in Sonic X Shadow Generations because it is something
Sonic
that
Prime?
finishes.
Oh, you mean Sonato Prime?
Oh my god, man. No,
You-
it goes deeper, yeah, because if you
so much deeper.
it goes, like if you go into the taglines, I think it was for Sonic X Shadow Generations on
Oh my gosh, you saw that? Yes.
yeah, you saw that right? LGBTQ.
Oh, dude. Okay, dude. Silly Drifloon. Shout out to Silly Drifloon. Silly Drifloon had a field day with that when she was the first person to send it to me, be like, "Oh, media nut," and it's like, "What is it?" And it's like, look at the tagline, and it's like LGBTQ, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're doing it."
And you would think that would be like, oh, maybe that was like a typo or something. Like maybe they just added it by accident. No, it's still there. It's still in the tags.
That's too much of a coincidence, Kevin. It's
Yeah,
too much.
No, that's what I'm saying. The story of Shadow is just gonna go nuts. Like, and also just to let audiences know, we're spitballing in this part here, but like we just love the Sonic franchise, and we're loving that the Sonic franchise is now starting to become a much more a series that's much better to be embraced upon with this series.
Yeah, no, it's so refreshing to actually be proud to be a Sonic fan again. Like, how good does that feel? May I ask you? Like, how does it feel to be a Sonic fan and be okay with being a Sonic fan again?
Oh, dude! After you know what?
Gracious.
I will say all of this to me began when the symphony started, the Sonic Symphony. And after that point, it just felt like
me with the movies.
Yeah,
it started for me with the movies. Goodness gracious!
Oh wait, wasn't the symphony before the movies or after the movies?
Was it?
I don't remember.
Maybe, you might be right. Maybe it's been.
It was
so
one of
long.
those two. To be fair, it was one of those two. But the point of the matter is, it's just something wonderful. Like, you have everything on your disposal. You have a TV show, regardless of what you think of it, whether it be good or bad, because I know it's been a very conflicting show, especially season 3's, because goddamn, that whole arc was dumb. But, like, you have the show, you have the movies, which is also going to focus on Shadow and Sonic. You have now the games, and we're starting to get a good amount of Sonic games. We're almost getting like 2 and 3 a year. And they're not even like low quality titles. No, some of these are very high quality. You know.
And you want to know what it is, and you want to know what's fun about it is the fact that one thing I appreciate is that they don't all have to be the big AAA Sonic games that we expect, because this goes back to us being Pokemon fans, where the same way I feel about the Sonic franchise, I feel about Pokemon, where it's like, my opinion is that we're getting Pokemon games too frequently. I feel like we need time to wait. And the thing is that here, it feels like Sonic is finding that beautiful balance of wait for your next big project, but give us smaller things to enjoy in between. Because we got like, here we are talking about Sonic Frontiers, but like, yo, we got the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the best narrative Sonic games in so long, and it's so good. I have not heard a single bad thought about that game from anyone, even the non-Sonic fans. And then like moving forward, like everyone seems to be hyped up for Sonic X Shadow, and then everyone had the majority of people had good thoughts when it comes to like Sonic Superstars. So it's like,
and don't forget Sonic Dream Team.
So much to enjoy. Oh yeah, even with Dream Team, with all the memes about like people not being a fans of like Rouge's voice, but even then, like it was still like, wow, this was a surprisingly high quality Sonic game for the phone. What the heck?
And people even clamor and saying, bro, just get this team to do your in-game animation cutscenes.
Honestly, yes.
Because they nailed it.
Gracious.
They nailed it. I love it. It's so
really
good.
Did.
And we kind of see a little bit of that in this trailer for Sonic X Shadow Generations, like the part where Shadow's running through like this spinning area that breaks apart like Doctor Strange, and he's like going through like the multiverse right then and there, and you see him just getting mad and just shocked by wherever the hell he's at, and Black Doom's just flying in front of him. Like, it's just like they're really starting to give us an opportunity to be excited for the Sonic series, because it's not only going to be a good game, or at least we fingers crossed it is. Sonic Generations is already a phenomenal game.
Sonic Generation is already a good game. So all they really need is, like, obviously up the quality, because it is going to be a PlayStation 5 game.
Yeah, they said it's going to be
but like, but exactly what you said, it's already a good game. Just make the shadow parts good too, and I think you got a winner.
Exactly.
Like, it's not, you don't need so much, and the fact that you have Ian Flynn like working on it, I think we're safe when it comes to a storytelling situation. At least all they need now is just like make Shadow feel different enough from Sonic, and I think we got a winner.
Yeah, and make the gameplay stages actually fun to traverse through too. You know, the stages are also.
Please.
That's one of the key things with Sonic Generations.
No forces.
No force. No boost to win. And it does look like that. I do see some dash pads here and there, but to be honest, it's fine. As long as everything else is.
Dash pads have always been a thing in Sonic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, let's just cross our fingers in hopes that it does exceed our expectations, you know. A lot of people have been, saying that this game is familiar to, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, and it kind of is like that, because you know you're still getting the full package experience of the previous title, but you're also getting this new side content that's being added upon it too. So it's like, yeah, I mean, as long as you give us that side content and you make it just as expansive as the main one, or if not, just exceed it. And I'm pretty confident in the story department that's already going to exceed Sonic Generations, because, well, the story now is non-existent. But Shadow's portion, if the story is phenomenal and that carries this whole side story, 10 out of 10 for me in that aspect alone. But
honestly, yeah.
But fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed that gameplay.
I highly agree.
Fingers crossed, man, with that gameplay, though. That's all I ask for. And just judging for what I'm seeing, though, it's going to be a good time for sure.
If it is Generations, though, right? Like, imagine, like, okay, we see a lot of like arc-centric level layouts when it comes to the Shadow levels. But like, so one of the levels for sure is gonna be on the arc. That has to be the case. But that doesn't mean that we're not gonna get other possible levels that are important to Shadow as well. Like, we could see some returns of like maybe some popular, like, not just from the game of Shadow the Hedgehog, but also like maybe like Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Heroes, or I mean, freaking heck, maybe Sonic 06 if I'm being way too hopeful, but who knows?
Man, as long as it's not the desert stage, thank God. No, well, the desert stage and the underworld.
We don't need the desert
stage. Dude, give me the kingdom.
Mind going back to White Acropolis. I would not mind going back to White Acropolis.
Oh God.
You don't like White Acropolis?
Oh man, but like, no, I'm just excited because at least we're probably in good hands. I like to believe, right?
I think we are, and that's the thing that's most exciting.
Yeah, so fingers crossed on that there. But yeah, no, it's just a good time to be a Sonic and a Shadow fan in this moment, and it's just good to be a Sonic fan in general when it comes to all these side characters too. You know, and once again, like, I would never be talking about this here with you if we didn't already have a lot of these quality content prior to this discussion. You know, if we just had this discussion after the events of, say, Sonic Forces when it came out, and we never had anything between then and now,
no hope.
It would have felt much more of a quieter discussion per se, because we wouldn't know what to expect, because, well, you know, past titles do that. But I'm just glad that we are caught in a position right now where, no, anything is possible. And the fact that they are being reckless in a sense when it comes to grabbing what they're going to bring for this particular story for Shadow, and thinking about the possibilities that this can't not only be the thing that they're just going to bring back, that they could possibly bring back 06 content, even possibly bring back other side content as well that might be from the comics. Who knows? It all depends on where they're going with this. It all depends on also how long this game has been in development, which we don't really know much about. But I'm going to assume they've been in works with this thing for a while.
For a
because
while, yeah.
I assume that the big reason why this even exists in the first place, in my opinion, the movie. They want to
The
tie
movie,
this.
100%.
They want
They
to tie
want
this with the movie.
very much so. I very much agree with that. Uh, actually, okay, Kevin, let me ask you. Just this is still on the topic of Sonic,
Mhm.
but this is so funny that this is happening as we're talking about this. You've beaten Sonic Frontiers like completely, right? Like including the DLC.
Yes, I've beaten that and the Final Horizon.
Can I share something with you that just happened right now as we're in the middle of this conversation?
Sure, go ahead in the chat.
So, do you remember? You remember the King Coco trial, right?
You mean that really horrendous trial that like it was timed perfectly with the amount you had on hand?
Yes.
Yeah, before the
I want to
update, of
share
course.
something with you. I want to share something with you. During this, I want you to understand. I've been trying to beat this trial
Mhm.
for over a month. Me and
You
Silly
haven't
Drifloon
beaten
on
it?
her stream. Wait.
Oh, okay.
Here's the funny thing. You want to know something really funny? And I'm gonna say this right now, Kevin. You're a good luck charm. You want to know why? Because during our conversation about Sonic, I finally just now beat the stupid level.
Thank the heavens! Now do it in.
I'm playing Sonic while we're talking about Sonic to get myself in a Sonic mood. And how crazy is it that I beat this godforsaken level while talking to you about Sonic?
Oh my god. Well, now you get to finally experience the other part of that. God.
Finally!
Fine. Wait. Oh god. Good job on that, Nutty. Oh man. But yeah,
This is what happens when you bring two big Sonic fans together, then stuff
absolutely.
like this happens.
It's all good, man. And I once
This
again,
is so
I
funny!
just appreciate that we can have these times of discussions, especially when it
Yes,
comes to just the
yes.
content of Sonic, man.
It's
Especially for
so good.
Sonic.
Yeah.
So yeah, fingers crossed. I know we didn't really get to talk much about the gameplay side of things, and to be fair,
I mean,
it's a
it's Sonic
port.
Generations. What's there to expect? You know,
Exactly.
like the only thing I could say that would be a nice surprise is going back to what I just said before, which is maybe find a way to make Shadow feel different to Sonic. I think that's all I ask. If it's I don't think anyone's gonna be too upset if he plays just like Sonic because again, it is a port of Sonic Generation, so you can't really expect much. But if we can just get like I don't know, something small if we are going with the whole Bowser Fury of it all, like I don't know, give him one of his chaos abilities. Let us teleport with chaos control or shoot enemies with chaos spear or something. Like I think that's the most I'll ask when it comes to gameplay for this. But at the same time, I'm not expecting too much of a change when it
I
comes to gameplay because, again, as you stated, it is a port of Generations.
Yeah. And to be honest, I feel like they're going to tease it more so in this title. And then
Mm-hmm.
if they somewhat say like the next main game is actually going to
If they
feature all of
succeed,
the
yes.
buddies involved in that, I think we're going to see those developments be revealed in that title. We got a little
Yes, I
taste of it
agree. I agree.
in Frontiers with Knuckles, Amy, and Tails.
I'm
And now we
I'm
might see
gonna
with
go
Shadow.
out on a limb. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the era of Sonic that we're entering right now is very much like is an era that I feel a lot of us, especially in the Sonic content creator space, believe it or not, um, a lot of us have kind of been wanting and asking, which is, hey, like what we want is we want you guys to first figure out what works and like don't be afraid to try something, but also stick with what you got. So then it's like okay, so like the exactly what you said. Let's test out something new with Shadow here, see if it works, so that we can save it for another game. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for that other game, we could still try things out with other side games, because that's exactly what happened with the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, who would have thought a point-to-click mystery game would have been perfect for Sonic? And it's like, yo, this was fantastic. And then same with like a mobile game, a mobile game for Sonic Dream Team. Everyone loves that. So it's like Sega, don't be afraid to try new things. Yes, but like make sure the stuff works and work with what you already have as well. What you have that works, which I think every Sonic fan can agree on now, is what do they have that works? The characters. People love the Sonic characters, especially now that haven't had them forever. They are a nice change of pace. People are usually happy to see them now. So then do more with them. And I've been saying this to a lot of people for a long time. And Sega, if you ever do listen to this, Sonic Team, if you ever do listen to this, Ian, if you ever do listen to this is what I'll say. And this is like, I invite you to take this idea as your own. And just simply, I never thought I'd say this, pull what Mario does for his friends, but do it with Sonic. Like, give us the side adventures. Give us the side games. We don't mind them. In fact, I think the past couple of years proves that we enjoy them. Like, give us games that focus on characters that are not Sonic. And let's have fun with them. Let's try new gameplay mechanics with those.
I'm just saying, since
that
you're
way,
spitballing it, God, please give me Riders 4. I don't want Sonic Free Riders to be the last game for that franchise, man.
Give us Sonic Riders 4, because we still have so much to do with the Babylon Rogues.
Which, by the way, in the comics, they've actually been developing them there. So come on, bring them to the games.
They have. Sonic recently went to the beach with them. He went to the freaking beach with them. Jet just celebrated his birthday, and apparently he got a letter from his dad. Jet has a dad? And, like, can we meet him? Like, what the fudge? And like not only that, like, give us, dude, hear me out on this. A Sly Cooper / Detective Pikachu style Chaotix game. Can we get that, please? Like, why are we not getting that? Or how about an Uncharted meets Crash Bandicoot style beat 'em up game for Knuckles, where maybe he teams up with Rouge to figure out more about the history of the Echidna clan, now that he knows that they're tied to the Ancients, and like have him go up against other treasure hunting Sonic characters like the Babylon Rogues, or like Fang the Sniper, or the Hooligans.
Bring back.
Can we bring back the Hooligans? Bean the Duck, Bark the Polar Bear? Hello?
Anything's possible, man. Hell, like, even the Chaotix could be a part of Knuckles' story, too, for all we know.
Dude, yes! Knuckles Chaotix! Bring Mighty! Bring back Mighty to a modern game and have him actually be part of the Chaotix again. Or freaking, like, Silver! Where's our Silver game?
To be fair, the Silver one's difficult. With that. The Silver one I'm excited for, but that one might be a little hard.
There's a way.
Time travel.
No, Kevin, there's a way. Oh, yeah. There is a way. And no. I want hear me out. Hear me out on this. What are they doing right now with Sonic X Shadow Generations? We are reliving Shadow's history and time travel. What character in Sonic is known for time traveling? Why not have, like, all I'm saying is, why not have Silver have his own fun little time travel adventure where he literally, all you gotta do is have Silver revisit pivotal moments in Sonic history and put himself there, and that could be for a really fun adventure. That could be something really interesting.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what I'm saying. There's so much. There's so much you can do. Give us a Blaze game, like an Assassin's Creed style Black Flag game, but with Blaze as the main character, because pirates are a big thing in the world, in Blaze's world. Have her fight pirates in this game. Let us travel with her marine. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, or
There's so
just if
much you
you
can do.
if you want to be safe, just give us another Sonic Rush. But this time
Sonic
focus
Rush
on
3, why
Blaze.
not?
Yeah, just focus
Sonic
on
Rush
Blaze.
3, that is totally fine.
Yeah. But this time it'll be in the modern systems because we don't have handhelds no more. So it'll be like a
Oh
fully
yeah, that'll be funny.
stylized 2D 2.5D Sonic game with Blaze's
Well, you know what?
mechanics.
Well, you know what? We know that works. You want to know why? Because Sonic Mania and Sonic Superstars exist. So we know it works. There's so much potential they could do with all of these characters, all these wonderful friends and characters that Sonic has, that, like, we can have so much fun with it. Even characters that people hate, right? Like, hear me out on this. Like, instead of making them a Sonic villain, why don't we get the Deadly Six and make them a Knuckles villain, or a Tails villain, or even a Chaotix villain? Like, you could do that. You could make unlikable Sonic characters actually likable by figuring them out and putting them in situations that make them work. One of the least liked characters, from my understanding in the Sonic mythos, is Charmy. But you want to know why? It's because they have nothing to do with Charmy. Give Charmy something to do in a Chaotix game. There's so much you can do.
Absolutely, man, 100%. But
Like,
yeah,
so exciting.
the
It's so
future of
exciting.
Sonic is absolutely bright, and I can only hope that this game here succeeds in what it's trying to set out to do. Because if it does succeed, then this will continue to be a possibility. These discussions can continue to move forward and continue to exist and continue to be brought back and in future discussions if we come back again to do another one for whenever we get more information of Sonic X Shadow Generations.
Yes.
But that will be all independent on Sonic Team and all the amazing people working on this game. The writers now are also in full force. We're in for a wonderful time. So, with that being said, I feel in this moment right now, we spent about a good hour here. I think this is a good time to go ahead and wrap things up. Why don't you say? So,
All right then.
yeah, so first of all, Media Nut, thank you so much as well for participating in this discussion. I really had a wonderful time just hearing you and also interacting with you in this discussion to talk about all things Sonic related. I know there's still so much more for Sonic that could be brought in for future discussion. And this, in a sense, was just kind of like the Sonic X Shadow Generation trailer. Just a little tease of what could potentially come for future discussions once we get
Very much
an
so.
official trailer later down the road. So, Media Nut, thank you so much for participating with this. I really do appreciate your company. If you would like
Thank
to
you
let
so
people
much for
know,
having me. I had a great time.
if you'd like to let people know where they can find you at, man, this would be a good time to let them know.
Well, you can find me on any of my social medias, on the Media Nut, on YouTube, X, or Twitter, Instagram. But you know what? I'm actually gonna pull something out. Instead of promoting myself, I'm actually gonna go out of my way. I want to promote someone else real quick and say a special birthday is coming up. I don't know when when this discussion will be released, but a special birthday is coming up very soon for our dear friend and my partner, Silly Drifloon, who is also a massive Sonic fan. And for her birthday, I happen to notice she's going to be doing her first ever 8-hour live stream on her Twitch. So if any of you guys are willing, if anyone is down to like wish someone a wonderful happy birthday, I'd really appreciate it if any of you guys would be willing to go and support her stream, wish her happy birthday, send her a lot of love, send her a lot of Sonic and Shadow love, because she loves both characters with all her hearts. And I think that's what I'll promote tonight. I will promote that.
Nah, of course, man. So first of all, links to all that information will also be in the description down below if you'd like to also get all the necessary information and specifically what kind of titles are going to be played during that stream. So do make sure to go check out Silly And yeah, I think the video discussion will probably be posted the day after we're done. So it shouldn't be
Nice.
that far off with that. I'll be working on it during this time. But once again, no, sincerely, Media Nut, thank you so much for being here today. Really had a wonderful time chatting. And to everybody here watching this video, thank you guys for sticking around all the way till the very end. If you guys enjoyed this discussion, of course, do me a solid, leave a like right down below. And let me know your takes in the comment section down below whenever you would like to let us know exactly what you think is going to be the future for Sonic the Hedgehog and friends. Are we going to be seeing great things come from these characters? Who knows? That will be what the future will hold for us. But in the meantime, enjoy all the content of Sonic that's coming our way. Sonic X Shadow Generation, Sonic Movie 3, Sonic who else knows what else is coming. But Jesus Christ, it's a good time to be a Sonic fan. And I hope you guys are in for the ride the whole way through. So, once again, my name is KG Prestige. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. And I'll talk with all of you lovelies later in whatever video I make. Take care, everyone. And as always, do me a solid and have yourselves a wonderful night. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Farewell.